Arsenal have yet another very important game on the weekend, playing Aston Villa on Sunday in a must-win game. With Aston Villa beating Arsenal the last time the two teams played, they're going to have confidence going into the match that they can get something. But this is how Arsenal put an end to that and can secure the win on the day. Let's get into it. Now, although I don't think Arsenal necessarily had a bad game when they played Villa last time, they did end up losing 1-0 by an early goal by John McGinn. Now, overall, Arsenal were trying to find a setup with Jorginho and Havertz that worked, and the team wasn't really in full flow in moves. They kept not being able to score and weren't creating enough really in every game. Obviously, since we have moved Odegaard deeper and people like Jorginho have come into the team more predominantly, the team has been a lot better, scoring, free-flowing and being very solid defensively. Aston Villa are a very direct side. They like getting the ball to their midfielders so they can create and put the ball out wide, giving their wingers a one-on-one opportunity and lots of breaking goals they score with their fast, quick attackers. Something we've seen Arsenal do quite predominantly in big games is actually let the other team kick the ball to the wingers. They allow their wingers and their fullbacks to get up the pitch and cross the ball in, because they know if the other team only has one striker in there, they can often fill them gaps with their defenders. However, this is a lot different for this game. Gabriel is reportedly not in training and he still could start. I'm not saying he isn't, I have no information, but if he doesn't start, I don't expect the team to be wanting to do this because he is the best aerial threat in the box. And for Aston Villa are very good also to help their wingers and get their midfielders up into the box, helping them create shots from good scoring opportunities and also being able to bring players away from the winger so they can get a 1v1 and get a shot away against the goalkeeper. Now, this is something that Arsenal historically have actually struggled with. We really struggle against teams on the break against us, and especially tricky wingers that can go past someone like Zinchenko, who is not the best 1v1 defender, and Kivior. This is why I would request that Tomiyasu should start this game. Now, he hasn't started in a very long time, and I think since he's come back, he has deserved to start potentially, but it is a very highly contested position. He is the best 1v1 defender that Arsenal currently have fit in that left back position, and I think having someone like him there against people like Bailey or Diaby would be very good. He can put a foot in and be very hard in a tackle, also winning the ball. And if they do go down the other side, he is a very good player in the aerial duels. Per game, he wins about 1.5 aerial duels, which is a really high level between fullbacks, and he's making over an interception a game, so he is getting into the right positions and can help head the ball back post as well. Now, realistically, one of the big reasons why Arsenal didn't actually win the game at Villa is because they didn't take their chances. They were overall very dominant, but giving Villa an early goal allowed them to sit on it, and it really made Arsenal struggle to create chances. Aston Villa's midfield is probably the most important bit of the team. It's where it affects everyone on the pitch and connects every part of phase. Arsenal were getting dragged about quite a lot in the first game, especially early on, and they didn't keep their fluid and close together system to try and win the ball back. Obviously, Havertz was playing in midfield in this game. Now, because Arsenal will mostly have the ball, Aston Villa will probably play a long ball system, and considering, very luckily for Arsenal, Douglas Luiz is suspended for this game and Boubacar Kamara is injured, the two best midfielders that they have, progression is definitely not going to be as good. McGinn could play in a secondary striker role and help Watkins, which would probably be the favourable for Aston Villa, helping progression going through the pitch, but they'll probably just try and stretch Arsenal as wide as possible and try and look for the crosses into Ollie Watkins, who is very good in the air. But luckily, because they're most likely going to play Ollie Watkins up front by himself, you're going to expect Saliba and Gabriel, if they both start, to be able to control him and make sure he doesn't really get much chances in the game. Always having one person be very tight to him and aggressive, and having someone shadow mark and being close. If Ollie Watkins is not in play, this gives Arsenal more of a chance to control the game, and it also gives Aston Villa barely any chances to really get up there and score. In this game, I expect Arsenal to have pretty much complete control. Not only do I expect Aston Villa to sort of play a more direct style, they are a very counter-attacking team, so I don't expect them to come to the Emirates and want the ball as much. This is why this could be a game that would benefit someone like Thomas Partey. I expect Aston Villa at the start at least to be very aggressive, pressing the midfielders of Arsenal, knowing that's a great way going through the midfield to get the ball out wide. Someone like Jorginho could definitely be targeted. He's not necessarily the quickest, and as soon as you get 2 or 3 players in him in a situation he can't move, you can often win the ball back on transition very high up the pitch. This can cause some problems for Arsenal, so this could be a game where you bring Thomas Partey in if his fitness has actually sorted itself out. Now, he's not been the best in some of his cameos that he's been playing recently, but he does show some potential still, and as a passer, he can do what Jorginho do to even probably a better level. He's a brilliant passer and can often take 2 or 3 players out of the game disguising passes. This will allow people like Odegaard to play a little bit more forward, and although he can come deeper to help Partey if he needs to and help the progression, I expect him to play a bit more aggressive and with Havertz trying to win the ball back when we don't have it. This can allow people like Declan Rice also to play a bit of a free role, and if he can cover the ground in midfield, that if we keep close enough and small enough, it should give Arsenal a lot of midfield control, and that kind of nullifies Aston Villa because they really want that midfield control to have any chance of getting the ball where they want it to. Now, another idea which could be very vital and could be very important as well is that Arsenal will be playing this Villa team which is considerably weakened in midfield. This means that if they do have runners, I'm not sure if their players could be able to keep up. Most likely having people like Tielemans having to catch up to the players in midfield, and he's not very good off the ball for Aston Villa. He often loses players a lot. This means you could see an opportunity of someone like Smith Rowe come into the side. Arsenal would not need to play a double pivot with Rice or Partey or Jorginho because you could necessarily bring Zinchenko back into this game. Tomiyasu could play on the right to be a brilliant 1v1 defender to give us some rest to Ben White for the game in midweek, and Zinchenko could create that double pivot with Rice if Arsenal are going to have a lot of control of the game. This means Smith Rowe can also help Odegaard running from midfield and progressing up the pitch like we saw against Luton. This allows Odegaard to get even further forward and hopefully get chances because he's got that progression through Smith Rowe. And with Aston Villa being a team which you can press because sometimes they make defensive mistakes and you could probably put them into situations they don't want to be in, you could necessarily not play Havertz because you could trust Jesus to maybe do this job as well if you want to give Havertz a rest for the Bayern Munich game. I would obviously still play Havertz if he's fit because he does seem to play a lot and has a great engine, and I think very much early on in the game it's going to be very vital that Arsenal have the ball a lot and can easily win it back against Villa. And of course there is arguments that Arsenal should probably go full strength still and make sure they can secure this win more importantly than the game in midweek, because probably right now the Premier League is more important than the Champions League. But it depends what Arteta really wants to care about and if he really wants to attack on all fronts. People like Trossard could very much get a start. I think his dribbling can be very key coming into the centre against Villa, who do struggle when some players run at them and they've got runners in behind, which we could have with Havertz or Jesus. So someone like Martinelli probably also should get a start or a game because he hasn't necessarily had a consistent output. Also, with him regaining his fitness, you'd rather him do it here than in a Champions League game. And of course, Arsenal do have the best defence in the country right now, conceding the least amount of shots in 2024 by quite a lot, but Aston Villa are a very clinical side and usually do score a lot of their chances that they create, especially with the phenomenal Ollie Watkins being up front. This means that Arsenal are probably going to have to make sure they don't get any key chances for Villa because they definitely could score still, and Ollie Watkins can score from anywhere on the pitch, being from headers or long range or making runs from deep, so it's something that has definitely got to be remembered. And of course it's definitely a weakened Villa side who aren't playing brilliant right now. They really conceded keeping clean sheets recently because Aboubakar Kamara has been injured, and in the 12 games this season which they have conceded 2 or more goals, 8 of them have been without him, and he will not be playing in this game as well. This usually allows Douglas Luiz to have more creative freedom and be able to go forward, which he hasn't had, and with him being suspended as well, it could cause some real issues for Villa in this game. Whether obviously they still have McGinn and Ollie Watkins, 2 brilliant attackers. Let me know how you think this game is going to go and let me know who you think could play for Arsenal. There's many options that could play with the game on Wednesday against Bayern Munich, but I want to know who all you guys think in the comments. If you like this video, please go watch my video yesterday where I talk about Odegaard's brilliant new role and brilliant statistics this year, and if not, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.